Cool. So this is what we're going to be using throughout the course to be able to read and write and execute code. And that's why I didn't ask you to download anything in advance, because this is a way that we can write Ruby code and see the results. So one really important thing to talk about is that we are going to be using the Ruby language to teach this course. However, this course really isn't about Ruby per se. It's about learning the fundamentals of coding. Everything that we're going to learn here applies to pretty much every programming language that I'm aware of. One thing that I'm going to do, although I might forget to do it in the future, is, again, this is not critical. It just avoids a little bit of confusion. Do you see this icon here called Add New File? I'm going to just click on it and click this green button that says Continue. And I'm not going to explain right now why I did that. I think we'll come across it soon, though. OK, so let's write our first line of Ruby code. OK, so I wrote p space 50. And to run our code, we hit this play button. And the code runs on the right-hand side. So we write our code on the left-hand side. We hit the play button, and we see the result on the right-hand side. P stands for print. And although most of us think of printing as printing out to like the printer that prints out like paper copies of whatever you're printing, in coding talk, print could mean printing information anywhere, not just on paper, but even here on the right-hand side. And instead of continuing to call this the right-hand side for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to call it what it's actually called. It's called a terminal. So we're writing our code on the left-hand side, and that's called the text editor. And the code is executed, and we can see the results in the terminal, which is on the right-hand side. So we just said to print out the number 50, and we can see that result right there. Now we could also do a little arithmetic. Ruby and all programming languages allow you to do arithmetic. So we're going to say p1 plus 1 and run that. And we get the result of 2, which is perhaps not surprising. Let's do some other kind of mathematical expressions. P9 minus 4 is 5. To do multiplication, you use the asterisk, which is the character above your 8 key. So 9 times 3 is 27. If I did 9 /3, that means 9 divided by 3, where I get the result of 3. This is all the math that I know. And I did take more advanced math in high school and stuff, but I forgot it all. And I guess the good thing about that is that that demonstrates that you don't need to know much math in order to code. Most people think that math and coding are equivalent, and they're not, because these are the 4 things in math I know: multiplication, subtraction, addition, and division, and that's all you need to know. One thing that we're going to come across a lot is that programming languages are man-made, right? They're artificial, they're created by human beings. So the fact that this works sort of as we expected is in fact arbitrary. For example, there's another programming language out there called Clojure. And since what we have here is Ruby, it's not going to run properly here. But just to show you, to add 1 plus 1 in Clojure, you don't say 1 plus 1. Instead, you say this. You use parentheses, and you say plus 1, 1. That's how you say 1 plus 1. So whoever designed programming languages, they could design it however they want. It's up to them. It's purely artificial. So one of the reasons I like teaching Ruby as an intro language as opposed to Clojure is, even though a lot of the concepts are interchangeable, it's just easier for most people to catch on to Ruby, where you're used to thinking like 1 plus 1 and not plus 1, 1. And the good news is most languages use 1 plus 1. Python is 1 plus 1. Pretty much every other language I've encountered besides Clojure is 1 plus 1. But Clojure had to be different. So they're plus 1, 1. So this won't work. we're going to get an error. Basically saying, I don't know, Ruby says, I don't know what you're talking about.